Chapter 11 The Mob is Coming. Big Crisis in the Middle of the Night. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Boss, I explored the other 3 houses on the same floor outside the door and found some usable materials inside. Lin Yue explained that these words also made Sui realize something. It seems that as long as he gives the order, the talent can find a way to complete the task. For example, Lin Yue will take the initiative to explore the surrounding areas of the shelter to find suitable materials. You're not in danger, are you? Sui paused and reminded, pay attention to safety issues and don't take too many risks. Thank you boss for your concern. I ensured safety before exploring the surrounding area and did not make any big noise. Lin Yue paused and said, I originally planned to make some lockpicks to open the doors of my neighbors, but when I went out, I found that their houses had been forcibly broken open. The remaining 3 rooms on this floor are uninhabited. There are only some blood stains. It seems that they were invaded from the outside. The interior is very messy, food and drinking water were taken away, and I could only find some repair materials that no one wanted. Considering the suffering of our neighbors, I limitedly modified our door. In addition, I also made some door traps and 5 steel spears. Lin Yue turned her head and looked towards the corner. There were 5 steel spears about 2 meters long. The spear bodies were made of common steel pipes. The spearheads were welded with kitchen knives and were carefully polished until they were shiny. This is good stuff. Sui's eyes lit up. This was a long weapon. Without firearms, holding such a spear could provide a certain degree of resistance when facing thugs. Leah, you are really capable. Thank you for the compliment, boss. By the way, that group of people didn't break open the door just now. Did they find anyone inside? Sui asked. He was a little annoyed that he slept too deeply and didn't hear these movements. In fact, this is not to blame Sui. Sui has been under great mental pressure during the 3 days of the last days, especially during the time when he was alone. There were villains and natural disasters outside, and he had to consider the shortage of supplies inside. In a high-stress state that lasts for many days, once you fall into a deep sleep, it is difficult to wake up. Probably not found. Lin Yue shook her head. I remember the boss's instructions. I made no sound or movement. The welder I used also has a noise-canceling effect. However, a normal wooden door cannot stop them from hammering and banging on the door. Sooner or later they will react and know that we are hiding here. Lin Yue's analysis was correct. Things would be exposed sooner or later, and Sui needed to be more prepared before that. Well, I understand. Sui took a deep breath and took a look at the room. Many parts of the room had been specially modified with some details. For example, wooden insulation layers were added to the windows, the curtains were thickened, and a simple air conditioning diffusion device was added outside the freezer. Lin Yue's renovation not only considered the safety of the shelter, but also took into account comfort. No wonder I think the temperature is a little lower tonight. Thank you for your hard work, Leah. Sui was very satisfied. It's almost time. Let's eat first. Lin Yue should be back in a while. Boss, I have already had dinner. You can eat first. I still have new renovation work to complete. Lin Yue stood up and blended into the darkness of the room. She didn't know what she was messing with again. Sui picked up the bread and ice water, and while eating, he was about to open the trading platform to see if there were any new trading items today. He has developed a habit of trading out the endless ice water every day to maximize the storage resources of the shelter. While browsing the interface, Sui discovered that one of the 5 major requirements for upgrading the shelter had already been completed. The adjacent available space required to upgrade the shelter has been successfully surveyed. Successful detection. Is this the reason why Lin Yue searched several nearby houses? Sui thought in his mind, if that's the case, if there are other shelters next to the shelter, wouldn't it mean that they have to be exterminated to complete the expansion requirements? After all, most modern residences are connected to each other. When both residences are shelters, there will inevitably be natural conflicts and contradictions in expanding the shelter. It seems that even if someone doesn't want to upgrade the shelter or cause trouble, others will come to cause trouble for them. In the apocalypse, everyone wants to become stronger and upgrade their shelter. I'm afraid this process will lead to the death of many humans at the hands of similar people. Sui sighed. He could not change the dangerous environment of the disaster, he just wanted to protect himself. Opening the trading platform, Sui immediately searched for weapons trading orders. What he lacks most now is weapons. If possible, Sui hopes to get another gun and some bullets. I still have 6 bottles of ice water left today. I should be able to buy some good weapons, right? Sui quickly searched for suitable order information, and soon he saw a weapons sales order issued by a shelter named Jinling Rescue Group. There are currently a large number of various types of police weapons and equipment, which can be exchanged for medicine, food, and drinking water. If you are interested, please submit your information. Remarks: Don't ask me where I am. The shelter has a population limit and we cannot place too many survivors. No one can help the weak now. You have to rely on yourselves. This information is very interesting. The other party is not only selling weapons, but also seems to know some of the shelter's internal mechanisms. It seems that he should have tried to rescue more survivors in the city, but it seems that he failed. Sui murmured, is this the mechanism of the Doomsday Game that does not allow humans to stick together? Force us to fight each other in the Doomsday. Sui quickly submitted the ice water order and tentatively asked his own questions in the transaction information. The other party quickly responded, hello, Brother Bingxue, I am very interested in your order. We can talk about it in detail. During the communication and negotiation, the other party did not lower the price much and readily agreed to Sui's transaction request. At the same time, the other party also gave Sui some key city intelligence. Brother Bingxue, we already know that humans who also have shelters cannot live in other shelters. And for those who voluntarily give up their shelters, our level 0 shelters cannot accommodate too many people, and there is a limit on the upper limit of the resident population. We cannot provide rescue assistance to more people, we can only strive to provide support with food and weapons, and at the same time we have to consider the issue of survival. This game interrupted our ability to unite, which is what humans are best at, but we have not given up and are still looking for new ways to help more compatriots. I hope Brother Bingxue can do his best to help as many people as possible. Our nation needs more heroes to stand up in times of crisis. The other party seemed to be an official, and he persuaded Sui earnestly. At the same time, Sui also realized that in the past few days, there was still a group of people in the city who were actively carrying out rescue operations, trying to gather more people to keep warm together, but they failed and are still looking for new ways. Thank you for your information, I will do my best to help the weak. Sui's reply was very reluctant, he didn't plan to do so, but considering that the other party was really generous, it didn't matter if he said some polite words. 6 bottles of ice water in exchange for 254 pistols and 50 bullets. It's really a good deal. Sui played with the pistol in front of him and sighed. Although the pistol in front of him was a bit old and the number of bullets was not much, at least it could achieve the armed configuration of 1 gun for each person in the shelter. Even if there were any problems, there was no need to worry too much. Leah, can you shoot? Sui asked Leah in the dark in a low voice. Leah quickly poked her head out and looked very cute in the moonlight outside the window. Boss, I can use a gun, but my accuracy is average. Can you teach me? I have never shot a gun. Okay, boss. Leah obediently walked to Sui and patiently taught Sui how to use a gun. Most of the space in the room was filled with darkness. The young man and woman were alone in a room and could smell the opposite sex on each other's body. When they are close to each other, it is easy for a man and a woman to get angry, but Sui doesn't have these distracted thoughts now. He studies very seriously, and Leah teaches seriously. Although their bodies are tightly pressed together, their hearts are pure. 2 hours later, there were sudden bursts of dull knocks outside the door. Because of the addition of steel, the knocks were louder than before. Leah's expression suddenly became tense. She held the gun in both hands, turned quickly, and pointed the gun at the door. Don't panic, it's Lin Yue who is back. Sui comforted her. He heard the rhythm of the knocks and motioned Lin Yue to open the door. This iron door has a special door opening technique. People who don't understand it can never open it by technique, let alone by force. Lin Yue carefully opened a gap in the door, and after confirming that it was Lin Yue outside the door, she opened the door and let Lin Yue in. This time, Lin Yue also returned with a lot of bags. She put the things on the ground and opened them in front of Su Yi. Inside was a pile of dazzling electronic components and some colorful banknotes. Congratulations, you have obtained 103 units of electronic components and 76 units of large banknotes in this talent exploration. Completion score of this exploration task, perfect. You have obtained 20 survival points. Lin Yue, well done. Sui couldn't help but smile. This wave of material collection tasks was too perfect. He directly collected the necessary materials for upgrading a shelter. He also got 20 survival points. Sui now has 30 survival points. However, this material collection task really only gives upgrade materials, and no other supplies. Sui has now met 4 of the 5 prerequisites for upgrading the shelter. He only needs to collect 100 survival points to upgrade to a level 1 shelter. According to the communication between Lin Yue and Sui in the evening, Lin Yue told Sui that if the shelter of the level 1 laboratory type is upgraded, the power system of the shelter can be restored, and it can barely reach the living conditions before the disaster. Sui, who had been tortured by darkness for many days, now desperately wanted to see the light, so he was more inclined to upgrade the shelter to a laboratory. Lin Yue still looked heavy when she heard Sui's praise. She looked at Sui and warned him in a low voice. Chief, on my way upstairs, I heard the group of people upstairs preparing for a search. They seem to be preparing to search our entire building tonight. Lin Yue's words made Sui's expression change slightly. Before Sui could speak, there was a sudden noise from the corridor outside. Hurry up. Bring your weapons. Catch all the people alive tonight. Damn, I didn't expect that killing people would give survival points. Brotherly said that we will finish this floor tonight, and we will finish the next few buildings tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. It won't be long before the whole city is ours. We are the Emperor of Jinling. Haha, if you follow Brotherly, you will definitely have meat to eat. The voices of the group of people were getting closer and closer, and soon gathered at the door of Su Yi's room. It's here. I thought it was weird before, and I couldn't open this broken door. Brothers, break the door directly. If someone kills someone, search for supplies if no one is there. Su Yi's expression suddenly became gloomy and embarrassed. The actions of this group of thugs were faster than he expected. Without any signs, they actually attacked at night. Chapter 12, Gunfight in the Middle of the Night. Big Crisis in the Shelter. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lin Yue's news had just been passed to Sui, and the thugs outside the door had already gathered in the corridor outside the door. Sui had almost no time to react. He had heard the men outside the door seem to start a thorough inspection of this floor, and the looming voices of the thugs came from the neighbor's room next door. Ha! The traces I arranged here yesterday are gone. Has anyone been here? It seems that something is missing. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network. It must be the one with the closed door. I said there must be someone inside. Damn, go find them, they dare to hide. Sui narrowed his eyes and looked at Lin Yue. Lin Yue calmly made a few gestures, indicating that Sui and Lin Yue should stand in the dead corner of the room. Sui nodded and stood carefully against the wall. Lin Yue stood at the opposite corner of Sui. Lin Yue squatted behind the freezer. The three of them held their guns and held their breath waiting for the enemy to come. After a while, a violent knock on the door sounded from outside. Bang! Bang! Come out, everyone inside. If you hide again, I'll kill you all. Damn it, you dare to play tricks on me. I came to knock on the door on the first day, but you didn't say anything. Tear down this door and bring the hammer. Bang! Boom! Along with the shouting of the thugs, a sound of wood smashing sounded. The old wooden door outside could not stop the thugs outside. When the wooden door was broken, a ray of dazzling flashlight light penetrated into the house through the gaps in the steel bars. The flickering light allowed Sui to see a looming figure shaking outside the steel door through the reflection of the mirror. Roughly estimated, there were at least more than 20 people. The team of this group of thugs has grown again. The enemy is outnumbered, and Sui did not dare to shoot rashly to expose his position. On the contrary, Lin Yue was very courageous. She fired decisively the moment the light came in. A small burst of bullets burst out from the muzzle fire. Almost at the moment of the gunshot, a puff sound was heard outside the door. Ah! There is a gun. The person inside has a gun. Damn, I'm shot. Brotherly, I'm shot, I'm going to die. Hide. Let's hide quickly. Where are our guns? Take them out and shoot. There was a scream and panic outside, and Lin Yue's surprise attack directly interrupted the other party's arrogance. Awesome! Suyi's eyes lit up and looked at Lin Yue squatting behind the freezer. He knew how complicated the iron door was modified by Lin Yue. Although there were gaps between the steel bars, the gaps were not large. If Sui was asked to shoot, his bullets would most likely not be able to pass through the gaps, and it would probably bounce back in the house and hurt his own people. Lin Yue's gun skills are not simple. She can do this with a submachine gun that fires continuously. But the thugs outside the door were not vegetarians either. Soon, a black muzzle of a gun was pressed against the gap of the iron door. Bang! Bang! The crisp sound of gunfire exploded in the darkness, and the fire of bullets ran around in the walls of the room, breaking some things. The thugs also had guns, which they probably bought on the online trading platform. Kill them. Shoot quickly. No bullets, damn. I don't know if the person is dead or not. No movement inside. Quickly break this broken door open. Take his life while he is sick. The thugs shouted outside, and a magazine of bullets had been emptied by them. While the thugs continued to smash the door, Sui saw Lin Yue making a gesture to Lin Yue. Lin Yue nodded. Half of her body appeared from the corner of the bunker, and fired 3 bursts in the direction of the door with a flashlight. Bang! 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 One bullet was empty, hitting the iron door and going off somewhere, and the other 2 bullets were obviously fired out of the door. Ah! Damn! There's still someone alive inside. My brother was shot, my brother was shot. Brotherly, what should we do now? Shoot! Keep shooting. The thugs were in a panic outside, and after changing the bullets, they continued to shoot inside. But Lin Yue had already hidden in the corner. The thugs' bullets were flying around the room, but they couldn't hurt Sui and the other 2, because Lin Yue's position arrangement had taken stray bullets into consideration. Their position was relatively safe in the small space, and they were not bothered by stray bullets, nor would they be hit directly by the opponent's bullets. When the thugs finished firing a round of bullets and the gunshots just stopped, Lin Yue was almost instantly exposed, and 2 rounds of bullets were fired at the door. Puff. Puff. The sound of bullets hitting flesh rang out outside the door, and the screams of the thugs were endless. No. We can't be targets at the door. There is a sharpshooter inside. We can't beat him, brotherly. Let's retreat first. Damn, it's hard to beat him. Let's retreat upstairs first. The thugs didn't have the fighting spirit of regular soldiers. After several counterattacks, many of the thugs were injured, and they were all afraid that they would be the next unlucky person to be shot. Amid the noise and screams, the messy sounds outside the door gradually faded away. Are they gone? Sui asked in a low voice, but Lin Yue held his breath and squatted in place, without moving. Suddenly, Lin Yue exposed his arm and fired on the right side. Accompanied by the eruption of gunfire, screams came from the door again. Fuck. The people inside found us. Go. Go. Damn it. There was a new chaotic sound outside the door, and another burst of dense footsteps went away. Sui's forehead was covered with cold sweat. This gang of thugs was too insidious. In this situation, they actually wanted to ambush the people in the room. waiting for the moment when the people in the room relaxed their minds under high pressure, and then they would launch a surprise attack again. Fortunately, Lin Yue was here. She had a very high combat literacy and saw through the ambush of the thugs. "Chief, they ran away." Lin Yue bent down from the freezer and walked quickly to Sui, asking with concern, "Are you not injured?" "I'm fine." Sui shook his head. He didn't fire a single shot just now. He hit well, so of course he would be fine. Sui was not timid, but his vision was blocked at night. It was his first time to touch a gun. He didn't dare to shoot casually, for fear of dragging his teammates down. Facts have proved that Sui's decision was correct. This gang of bandits, under the condition of terrain obstruction, was no match for Lin Yue alone. "Chief, we probably won't be able to sleep tonight." Lin Yue lowered his voice and analyzed the subsequent battle situation for Sui. The people outside suffered a loss. There must be no less than 5 people who were shot just now. They will probably attack us again in the second half of the night. This iron gate should be able to stop them, but if the other party has a door-breaking device, it is estimated that it will be in jeopardy. Lin Yue's expression was very serious, and the strong bloody smell coming from outside the door also confirmed Lin Yue's analysis. The thugs suffered such a heavy loss, so naturally they couldn't swallow this breath. "Then let's counterattack them." Li Yue lowered her voice and suggested, "Lin Yue, you are so strong, let's take the initiative to attack, disrupt their formation, and retreat." "Your analysis makes sense." Lin Yue glanced at Li Yue and smiled bitterly, "But I can't do it. They should be squatting in the corridor now, waiting for us to go out. We don't know how many guns the other side has. In addition, the chief also said that the other side may have some combat talents. That thing should be more difficult. I'm not afraid of death, but I'm worried that if I go out, I may not be able to catch them all in one fell swoop. If I die and miss a few more enemies, the chief will be in danger." Lin Yue frowned. Now she is the only combat unit in the shelter. Although Li Yue can shoot, her combat literacy is definitely far inferior to Lin Yue, not to mention Sui, who was just an ordinary person a few days ago. It's no problem to let Sui fight hard, but at most he can only be counted as a combat force. Then it seems that we can only adopt a delaying tactic. Li Yue glanced at Sui and whispered, "Boss, let's not let Lin Yue go out these days. We should wait and find a way to hurt the enemy so that we can break the deadlock. I'm afraid we don't have that much time to waste." Sui's expression was very ugly. He opened the city area chat channel and saw a shocking message. "High price purchase, grenades. Flamethrowers. Weapons and equipment such as kerosene. Goods can be negotiated. If you have something to sell, please place an order quickly." That this is the latest purchase information on the city channel. The spokesperson is a guy named Li Daqiang Shelter. Sui quickly determined that this was the group of thugs outside the door. They want to buy equipment that can force the door. These thugs really can't swallow this breath, and according to Sui, there are such equipment on sale in the trading platform throughout the city. At least Sui has seen orders for grenades. This means that the next round of attacks by the thugs will start soon, and the means of attack will be even more brutal. The threat is even greater. Chapter 13: The Only Way Out. A life-or-death situation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. If we can really get these thugs to buy the right equipment. No, it is almost certain that they can buy it. These thugs go out to search for supplies every day, and kill people in the neighbors' houses to steal supplies. Their reserves must be very rich. As long as they are willing to pay a high price, they can definitely buy it. If they have such a big killer, I'm afraid I can't make it tonight. Sui's expression was very embarrassed, and there was deep helplessness in his eyes. He obviously didn't offend anyone, but just stayed at home every day thinking about how to survive the doomsday, but he encountered such a bad thing. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network. Chief, you. Lin Yue saw the change in Sui's expression and asked in a low voice, "Is the situation very bad?" "Yeah." Sui nodded, and he told Lin Yue and Li Yue about his concerns and findings. Do you have any solution? Just hold on until tomorrow noon, just hold on until then, Sui asked sincerely, hoping that the two people could give him the right advice. As long as he holds on until tomorrow noon, Sui will get a new talent reward. According to the talent information, the talent reward will give Sui the reward he needs most urgently at present, and Sui will definitely get something to break the deadlock. Lin Yue lowered his head and said nothing, while Li Yue looked at Sui and then at Lin Yue, wanting to say something but stopping. Boss, I have a way, but it's a little dangerous. Tell me. Sui's eyes lit up, and he asked anxiously. It would be best if there was a way to break the deadlock now. If the thugs really wait until they buy the equipment and block the door again, then everything will be over. The shelter at this stage is just an ordinary living house, and it is impossible to withstand the big killers like flamethrowers and grenades. We may need to let Lin Yue take risks. Li Yue looked at Lin Yue and whispered, among the three of us, only Lin Yue has the strongest combat power. It's night again, and the external conditions are very suitable for defense and single-soldier hidden operations. If we cover her out and let her stay outside, we will definitely be able to involve this group of thugs. If the thugs dare to block the door again, Lin Yue can take the opportunity to attack outside and cooperate with us inside and outside, and most likely we can stop the opponent's offensive again. But there are many difficulties. 1. The thugs outside may guard the point with guns. After we open the door, we may not be able to send Lin Yue out, but will destroy our own protective barrier. 2. Lin Yue can use darkness to ensure her safety, but if it's dawn, in the morning. If she shoots rashly, she may expose herself. In such a small building, it will be difficult for her to escape the enemy's search. Once Lin Yue dies outside, the two of us can't hold on for long in the room. Li Yue's analysis is very comprehensive. Sui opened his mouth and finally sighed. Do you want to let a woman die alone? She is a comrade in the shelter. Li Yue's analysis is the most organized way to break the deadlock, and Sui can't think of a better way. After all, the difference in numbers between them and the thugs is too big, and it is difficult to have any feasible strategies. Let's do it. Lin Yue suddenly spoke. She agreed with Li Yue's plan. Chief, Li Yue is right. If I go out, I can have more initiative and can delay the group of bandits to the greatest extent. You will die. Sui looked at Lin Yue with a complicated expression. There is a high probability that you will die outside. I am not afraid of death, as long as I can keep the chief alive. Lin Yue answered without hesitation. Her eyes were burning and her expression was firm. The chief is the most important. I will do my best to delay the enemy until noon. Sui was silent. As a human bottom line, he told him that it was wrong to let a woman die, but the desire to survive told Sui that this was the only way. Even if Lin Yue's risky behavior is likely to be useless, it is better than the three of them being trapped in this house. Then there is another question. How can we get out? Li Yue looked at Lin Yue, and Lin Yue looked out the window, her eyebrows raised. Go through the window. Can you do it? Yes, this is a military training program. Lin Yue was very confident, and even winked at Li Yue playfully. For Chinese soldiers, flying over eaves and walking on walls is a basic skill. Lin Yue, you are not training now, you don't have a safety rope. Under the current conditions, I can't make you a rock climbing tool. Li Yue's expression was very serious. You can only climb the wall with your bare hands. I don't want you to fall down. It will be meaningless to die. It's better to stay with the boss. Don't worry, you protect the chief. Lin Yue didn't hesitate anymore. She bent down and walked quickly to the window, slightly opened the curtains, quickly removed the covering on the door frame, and opened the window. A wave of heat suddenly poured into the room from outside. Lin Yue hung a bottle of ice water around her waist, then nimbly jumped out of the window and disappeared into the darkness. Lin Yue, Sui rushed to the window and stretched his head to look. Under the moonlight, there was a nimble figure stepping on the air conditioner, moving constantly on the outer edge of the wall with the help of the hot water pipe. Everywhere she stretched her hand was scorching hot. This scene is very dangerous. If she misses a step, she will fall to pieces. The heat waves continue to sweep from the surroundings, wrapping her whole body, and constantly taking away her physical strength and moisture. Boss, come back quickly. Lin Yue pulled Sui back from behind. Be careful of the door. If the enemy shoots, you will be shot at this position. Trust Lin Yue, this is our only way to survive. Lin Yue pulled Sui back to the corner with a serious expression. Boss, you can't be too soft-hearted. In extraordinary times, we should take extraordinary measures. Am I soft-hearted? Sui lowered his head with a bitter smile on his lips. If he was really soft-hearted, he would not be silent and let the two decide, and let Lin Yue take a risky act that would surely lead to his death. Sui knew that this was the right thing to do, but, people have conscience. Sui also understood that he should be more hard-hearted in the Doomsday and learn to lose his conscience, but he is not a reborn person in the novel, and he cannot be born cold and ruthless, but in order to survive, he must do this. Yes, I have done so. Sui lowered his head and muttered in his heart, with a complicated expression, if Lin Yue died, I would not be able to survive until tomorrow noon. Sui was in a very conflicted mood, and he could only constantly comfort himself. Lin Yue may not be a human, she may just be the game data created by that mysterious existence, or just a replica of a human soldier. But is she really not a human? Sui didn't know. The more he comforted himself, the more he could think of the sense of security that Lin Yue had brought him in the past few days. Whether this woman is human or not, at least Sui knew that he did owe Lin Yue something. Boss, it's the end of the world now, you have to learn to be more ruthless. Lin Yue clung to Sui, she looked at the door vigilantly, and lowered her voice, if you don't do this, you are not a qualified leader. I'm already learning. Sui muttered, he covered his forehead and sighed deeply. Lin Yue, I'm already very ruthless. I just may need some time to continue to adapt. No matter how guilty he was, he still let Lin Yue take the risk. He was already cold, but his conscience was a little uncomfortable. The atmosphere in the room became a little silent for a while. Sui's expression gradually slowed down, and he had adjusted his state. Anyway, at least it can be proved that the recruited talents are very loyal to me. Sui took a deep breath and said to himself, I hope I can hold on until tomorrow noon. In the high-pressure environment of the end of the world, it is also a luxury to have time to cherish your conscience. I don't know how long it has been, there is still no movement outside the door. The group of thugs did not seem to have purchased enough equipment to break the door. There were only some cursing sounds upstairs, accompanied by the screams of some wounded. Lin Yue also disappeared. There was no body of her downstairs that she accidentally fell to death. Sui didn't know where she was hiding. Time passed little by little. Soon, it was dawn. Sui supported his drowsy spirit, when he noticed that the sky outside the window turned red. Suddenly, a burst of rapid gunfire came from upstairs. It was Lin Yue who took action. Chapter 14, Daytime Death Fight. The grenade exploded. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sui was startled and quickly looked up at the ceiling. Lin Yue beside him also clenched her pistol and looked at the door nervously. Soon, there were bursts of bullets from the upstairs, accompanied by screams and curses. It's the window. Over there. Fuck, it's a woman. Is she a resident downstairs? I don't know. Brotherly, my brother is dead. He's dead. He's dead. Fuck. I don't want to wait any longer. What kind of shitty military advisor are you? Brotherly, don't listen to him. Go get revenge now. One grenade is enough to smash this bastard to death. The bitch actually dared to counterattack me. Wait. Brotherly, she has appeared. There is probably no one downstairs. She is a single-room resident. We can't waste grenades in an empty house. I remember that there was a man living downstairs. When did he change to a woman? That there were messy sounds coming from upstairs. Sui listened attentively with a serious expression. The other party really bought a grenade. No wonder Lin Yue suddenly opened fire. She was attracting firepower to prevent the other party from looking for Sui with a grenade. Shoo. Lin Yue put her finger on her mouth. She was signaling Sui not to make any sound. if the other party knew that there was someone downstairs at this time, it is estimated that the two would be dead. In such a small space, the two would definitely take all the damage from the grenade explosion. As expected, in less than a few minutes, there was a rustling sound outside the door. Suyi's hair stood up immediately. Through the reflection of the mirror specially placed in the corner, he saw pupils shaking in the gap of the iron door, and someone was spying on the house. The man was close to the iron door, his eyes rolling around, like a devil, which made people's hair stand up. After a while, a shout came from outside the door. "Brotherly! There is no one downstairs, no movement. But this iron door is locked very well, she doesn't seem to go out the main door." An echo came from upstairs soon. "Sure enough. That bitch came out, she climbed up the window to attack us. Fuck. Is this bitch Spider-Man? Search the whole building. We must catch her. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. Brotherly, give her to me first, I want to avenge my brother, I want to kill this bitch." There were dense footsteps from upstairs, and it seemed that they were dispatching people. "Brotherly, I'll follow you, I think you're the best fighter. It's safe to follow you. Stop talking nonsense, count the guns, and give the grenades to the military advisor. Do you have enough bullets? That woman's shooting skills were very accurate last night. Don't be careless. Divide into 2 teams, we'll start the search from the top floor, you go to the first floor. Let's search the middle together. Don't let go of every room, and check carefully outside the windows of each floor. Remember what the military advisor said, move quickly. Catch people." The thugs upstairs began to act, and soon there were dense footsteps in the corridor. Sui bit his lips tightly, with cold hatred flashing in his eyes. "These guys, I didn't do anything, but they insisted on killing me. Lin Yue, you must live." Whether for his own safety or for Lin Yue's safety, Sui hoped that Lin Yue would live well at this moment. About 10 minutes later. Another round of gunfire came from downstairs. "Fuck. That woman is on the second floor. The military advisor is dead, the military advisor is dead. Damn, the shooting is too accurate, 1 shot to the head. Where is the second floor? Have you caught her?" Sui heard it. It seems that Brotherly led people to rush down from upstairs, while shouting anxiously asking, "What happened to my military advisor?" "Brotherly, the military advisor is gone. That woman is in the house on the right side of the second floor. We searched here before, and the door is not closed. Damn. Lao Song. Lao Song. A bunch of rubbish, can't even protect the military advisor. What are you doing? Don't dare to rush in to catch people. Brotherly. That woman is very evil, her shooting is too accurate. It was a mess downstairs." Sui listened nervously for a long time, but no new gunshots were heard. It was obvious that the thugs did not dare to chase into the room at the first time, but gave Lin Yue time to escape, and they did not catch Lin Yue. "Damn it. There's no one here, keep searching. Bitch, I'm going to cut her into pieces, where's my grenade? Give it to me. Brotherly, upstairs. Dad Ada. Dad Ada." A burst of gunfire, this time coming from the top floor. A poor guy didn't even give a warning and was shot dead. Brotherly was almost going crazy, and he led his men to rush upstairs from downstairs, but they were empty again. "A bunch of trash, hold her. Hold her, wait for me." Brotherly was almost going crazy, and his men didn't say anything back, and seemed to be very afraid of Brotherly. But they were also afraid of Lin Yue, and the more they trembled, the more they feared Lin Yue. This woman was elusive, she killed people when she shot, and changed her point when she killed people. As long as there was any hesitation, he could not be caught at all, and this woman was very smart. She completely avoided Brotherly and only shot at the subordinates around Brotherly. "Good, very good." Sui clenched his fists tightly, sweat continued to pour out of his forehead, but he didn't notice it. He murmured nervously, "Lin Yue did a good job. Don't run into this Li guy, he must have a talent for fighting." "Boss, it's 10:30 in the morning." Li Yue whispered a reminder, and in order to avoid being discovered by the thugs outside the door, she was almost talking close to Su Yi's ear. Su Yi looked up at the wall clock. It was partially hit by the stray bullet last night, and the main body was already in tatters. Only the pointer could be seen to be slowly jumping. There are still 2 hours. Su Yi clenched his teeth. The only thing he was worried about now was the reward effect of the talent. He was not sure whether the talent would really work. After all, this was only the talent reward of the level 0 shelter. Even if he was given the most needed things, what if it was useless? Or could not solve the current dilemma? That would really be a complete dead end. Su Yi had no better way. He could only pray in his heart, and his heart was very tormented. If I had a better start, if I didn't have these thugs around me. Alas. Su Yi sighed deeply. God gave him SSS level talent, but also arranged such a group of crazy thugs around him. It is really a blessing in disguise. With unspeakable potential fairness, time passed by bit, and the gunfire from both sides continued to sound, up and down, erratic. Now, even Su Yi was not sure of Lin Yue's location. He also ventured to look out of the window several times, but did not see Lin Yue climbing. God knows how she did it, hiding like a ghost, and the small residential building almost became Lin Yue's home battlefield, but Lin Yue was not invincible. She had been fighting guerrilla warfare, not confronting the other side head-on, and running away after fighting. During the guerrilla warfare, Su Yi heard the thugs passing by his door many times. That brotherly even suspected that Lin Yue hid back in the house and tried to break the door by force, but fortunately Li Ye's improvement skills were very strong, and brotherly returned in vain, and kicked the iron door several times in anger. The two sides were in a stalemate until the time came to 12:20, just when the new reward was about to be issued. A deafening and earth-shaking roar suddenly came from the top of the building. Boom boom, that the whole floor was shaking. Su Yi's body lost balance and tilted. He saw a lot of dust and debris falling from the ceiling. It's a grenade. Li Ye's beautiful eyes widened. She almost lost her voice. The enemy used a grenade. This must have caught Lin Yue. Is she dead? Is she dead? Su Yi gritted his teeth and climbed up. He looked at Li Yue, and Li Yue shook her head silently. She didn't know, and no one knew whether Lin Yue was dead or alive. After the grenade, the man's excited laughter was faintly heard from upstairs. Ha ha ha. Bitch, I can't blow you up. Brother Li is awesome. I thought our building was going to collapse. This old building is really durable. It didn't collapse. Where's the woman? Where's her body? I don't know, it seems she fell down. Go find her. I want to see the body even if I die. I want to whip the body. Ha ha, Brother Li, is yours a real body whip? Quicken your cue. I want one too, I'll be the second one. That the wild laughter of the thugs upstairs almost meant that they had won. After a morning of fighting, the woman was finally killed by them. Su Yi couldn't stop trembling when he heard it, not because of fear. He was angry. Lin Yue tried his best to delay time, but he still died. These bastards. Give me what I need most. You can't lie to me, you made it very clear. Su Yi closed his eyes, muttering almost to himself, pinching his fingers until they turned white. I want the reward I need most, give me what I need most. I need to kill people. I need to kill people most now. I want to kill these bastards. Congratulations. Staying in the shelter for 24 hours triggers the talent reward. Staying time starts again. Chapter 15, Clean up the entire building. Kill them all. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Congratulations, you have received the talent reward, D-level combat team card, consumable. A golden card fell into Su Yi's palm as a clear information box flashed in front of his eyes. This is a card about the size of a bank card, all gold, with a few soldiers' blurred silhouettes engraved on it. At the top of the card, there is a detailed introduction to the item information. D-level combat team, consumable. After use, you can randomly summon a 3-6 person technology-oriented combat team. Each member's strength is fixed at D-level, and the equipment is adaptive according to the number of people. The effect of this item only lasts for 2 hours. After the period, the combat team will take it back. Temporary summoning type. A minimum of 3 D-level soldiers. Suyi's eyes lit up. How strong the strength of D-level soldiers is has been fully demonstrated on Lin Yue, which is almost comparable to the combat power of special forces. At least a combat team of 3 people, this will definitely destroy this group of thugs. Summon. Suyi chose to use the card without hesitation, and suddenly a hazy golden light appeared around him. When the golden light faded, 6 special forces soldiers wearing full sets of armed equipment stood beside Suyi, ready to go. They were all men, wearing special camouflage uniforms, combat boots, night vision goggles, grenades and navigators on their waists, and holding black guns of different lengths. Each of them had a firm and sharp look in their eyes, exuding a well-trained, decisive temperament. Suyi only took a quick glance and judged that the division of labor among these 6 people was very clear. There were battlefield medical soldiers carrying medical boxes, main attackers holding submachine guns, and teammates standing next to them holding special rifles, protecting the sniper holding the Barrett in the core position. 3 main attackers, a medical soldier, a communications soldier, and a sniper, a 6-man combat team, fully equipped. Commander, the leading charge saluted Suyi. He wore a mask with only his eyes exposed. He asked in a steady voice, Commander, please give us combat orders. What is our combat mission? Kill people. Suyi took a deep breath. He raised his hand and pointed at the door without hesitation. There are people in this building who threaten our lives. Kill them all. Yes, the soldiers shouted in unison. Guarantee to complete the mission. Lin Yue woke up in astonishment and reminded, there is another woman. Her name is Lin Yue, also a soldier. She is the commander's soldier. Save her. The soldiers looked at Suyi, and Suyi nodded, yes. Yes. The leading soldier made a gesture, and the 6 soldiers were divided into 2 groups and deployed in different formations. The signalman and sniper left the supplies through the window, hung the hook on their waists, and quickly came to the top floor opposite to set up the sniper position. The main attacker and the medical soldiers waited for Lin Yue to open the iron door, and then took out the smoke bomb and threw it out. Bang! The smoke exploded, and the panicked voices of the thugs outside were heard. Brotherly, the iron gate is open. Damn, where did the smoke come from? A volley of bullets swept past, and the panicked voices of the thugs came to an abrupt end. The male soldiers gestured to each other, stepped on tactical steps, and blended into the smoke silently. After a while. Intensive and rhythmic gunshots sounded from outside the door. Every time a gunshot was fired, there would be a dull sound of a corpse falling to the ground, and a few screams were heard. This means that every enemy they found basically had no time to issue a new warning and died quickly and neatly. As the soldiers began to clean up, the shouts of the thugs soon came. It's the enemy. They're here again. Soldiers. Damn, they're really soldiers. Is it the team that rescued us? Shit, they're killing our people. I surrender. Don't kill me. Shit. This is definitely not a regular army. They actually dared to attack ordinary people. Fight back. The panicked voices of the thugs kept coming from outside the door, and from time to time there were sounds of stun bombs and smoke bombs exploding. During this period, the gunfire never stopped. At the same time, Suyi also heard the occasional sniper sounds from the rooftop in the distance. Bang! Bang! The sniper's shooting frequency was not high, but the power was extremely great. Barrett's bullets could penetrate almost any obstacle. Even enemies hiding behind bunkers could be killed in one shot, and they would be exposed under the scanning of the thermal imaging device. Once the thugs were discovered by the sniper, they died on the spot. There's a sniper outside. Hide. Brotherly. Damn it, Brotherly was shot in the head by a sniper. Brothers, run. The chaotic noise outside the door continued to sound. Obviously, with the cooperation of the 6 soldiers, the mob outside was no match at all. Only the screams and panic of the thugs continued to sound, and Sui did not hear the sound of the soldiers being frustrated. He walked to the window and looked down to see that many thugs covered in blood were fleeing from the building downstairs. With fear on their faces, the sniper upstairs shot one by one, shot them in the head, and killed them all. In just a moment, 7 or 8 bodies were lying downstairs, and the remaining survivors were forced to flee back to the building and continue to face the ruthless sweep of submachine guns and rifles. Sui stood by the window, watching this scene indifferently. He felt a little uncomfortable. It was the first time he saw a dead person in person. He was indeed uncomfortable, but this discomfort was quickly replaced by the pleasure of revenge. After a few breaths, Sui's discomfort was swept away and he no longer felt anything. "Have I adapted?" Sui muttered in his heart, his face still expressionless and without the slightest joy. Lin Yue had not appeared yet, and he still lost. 2 hours later, the combat team would be taken back. Overall, he seemed to have gained nothing at all and could only vent his anger. The battle was cleared very quickly. Soon, a voice came from the communication headset left by the signalman. "Chief, the threat has been cleared, 5 captives surrendered, and the identities of some people are uncertain. Please give instructions, Chief. Wait for me to go over and take a look." Sui took a deep breath and walked out of the house with Lin Yue. This was his first time walking out of the shelter. If necessary, Sui did not want to step out of the shelter, but things did not go as planned. The thugs forced him out of the shelter and were forced to fight back. Under the guidance of the signalman, Sui led Lin Yue to the top floor. The corridor along the way was full of corpses and blood. The pungent smell made Lin Yue cover her nose involuntarily, but Sui walked up the blood pool expressionlessly. "Boss, won't you block it? This smell is too bad." "No need, didn't you tell me to learn to be cold?" Sui glanced at Lin Yue and smiled reluctantly. "I think I need to adapt in advance. I'm afraid there will be more such scenes in the future." Sui walked up silently and came to the top floor, and saw that this floor was completely connected. The messy house was full of the smell of blood and unsanitary stench. Garbage was thrown everywhere, and several headless corpses were lying on the ground. In the inner room, there were a dozen naked women. They squatted in the corner with their heads in their hands, their faces full of fear, and there were still traces of white turbidity and fishy smell on their bodies. "Chief." The rifleman guarding the female captive saluted Sui and reported in a low voice, "The rebels have been killed. These women have no weapons. They are suspected to be captured by the bandits for sexual gratification. Do they also want to be killed?" "No need." Sui took a glance. This was a group of naked women without weapons. There was only despair and numbness on their faces. He even saw some familiar faces in them, including the running girl he had seen on his way to work before, the young woman next door who took her daughter to school, and the cleaning lady who worked in a nearby company. All of them, regardless of whether they were adults or not, were killed. "Where are the rest?" Sui retracted his gaze and looked at the rifleman. The rifleman pointed to the room opposite. "There are several who surrendered and are being held there." "No, I'm asking about Lin Yue, the female soldier." Sui stared at the rifleman. "Have you found them?" "People have been arranged to continue the search, but there is no result yet." The rifleman shook his head, and his answer disappointed Sui. "Now that no one has been found, it is estimated that it is a bad omen. If she was hit by the grenade head-on, Lin Yue's body would probably not be very complete." Sui was in a depressed mood. He ignored the group of female prisoners and walked straight to the room opposite. He saw the assaulter guarding 3 men. They squatted on the ground with horror on their faces. When the assaulter shouted "Chief," they all looked up at Sui. "It's you." A man suddenly spoke, looking at Sui with surprise. "You are Sui. Are you the resident downstairs?" "I know you, I just said I remember a man living downstairs." Sui looked at the man silently, frowned and said, "You. Are you the guy with the daughter? I remember your last name is Zheng." Yes, it's me. I'm Lao Zheng." The man nodded disrespectfully, licking his smiling face, trying to get close to Sui, but was blocked by the muzzle of the gun. The assaulter looked cold. "Pay attention to the distance. Don't get close to the leader." Yes. Old Zheng shrank back in fear, and looked at Sui eagerly. Sui, we are neighbors. There is a misunderstanding here. Can you let me go? Where are your wife and daughter? Sui answered irrelevantly and looked at old Jing indifferently. Old Jing was stunned and lowered his head and said, I don't know. I don't know. They are next door, right? They are not wearing any clothes. I saw it just now. Sui had a sarcastic smile on his face. Even his wife and children can be sold. I don't have a neighbor like you. It's not like that, Sui, I can't beat that Li. Old Zhang's face turned red. He tried his best to defend himself, but was choked by Sui's next question. Then you didn't sleep with other women? Did the Li let you sleep with other women? Old Jing was stunned and kept silent. The answer is self-evident. To survive, he sold his wife and daughter. Sui looked at him calmly. I don't care about these, it's your family affair, but you want to kill me. You were among the people who attacked the door last night, right? Old Jing opened his mouth and wanted to defend himself, but then lowered his head dejectedly. Sui. I beg you, I really don't want to die. The scorching sun outside the window shone on old Zhang's back, making him almost faint from the heat, but the heat could not dispel the fear in his heart at the moment. God knows how the young man downstairs, who is usually unknown, suddenly has such an armed force. If he had known that Sui was so powerful, he would have defected to someone named Li. He would have followed Sui long ago. Where's the one named Li? Sui asked, and a man next to him hurriedly said, Boss, he's dead. The man named Li was shot in the head. I saw it with my own eyes. Where is the body? He's not dead. Before Sui finished asking, Lao Zheng suddenly spoke, attracting Sui's attention. What did you say? Sui looked at Lao Zheng, frowned and asked, how do you know he's not dead? He is immortal. Lao Zheng looked up at Sui, gritted his teeth and decided to tell the truth. That guy is very strong. There was no way to kill him. Someone tried, but he came back to life. He was stabbed through the heart and his head was chopped off, but he still survived. This guy can't be killed at all. Chapter 16 Disappearing Corpse, New Crisis. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Some people have long disobeyed him, but no one can kill him. Lao Zheng's informant made the two men around him look strange. They didn't expect that Lao Zheng would be so courageous, betray his elder brother so completely, and not worry at all about his liquidation and revenge afterwards. Real? Sui frowned and looked at Lao Zheng. He was not sure that someone had obtained such a terrifying talent, resurrection from the dead. I'm afraid this is also an SSS-level talent. In the apocalypse, he is almost invincible. No matter what kind of threats he faces, there is no need to be afraid. Real? Lao Zheng gritted his teeth and nodded, his face full of gloom. I don't want to live anyway, and I don't want to bear this cowardice anymore. It's best if you can kill him. If you can't kill him, give me a happy one. It doesn't look like a lie. Sui remained silent and issued an order after a moment. Take Lao Zheng to identify the body and find the body named Li. If you can't find the body, find someone. Yes. The charger nodded and escorted Lao Zheng out. The remaining medics and riflemen exchanged positions, with the riflemen guarding the remaining prisoners and ensuring Sui's safety. Sui kept these two prisoners and planned to ask some questions. Tell me about the good things you did with the man named Li. Sui glanced at the two prisoners and said calmly, tell me everything you know. Don't try to lie to me. Lao Zheng no longer wants to live. I will ask him to confirm what you say. If I find out that you have lied to me, you will accompany Lao Zheng on the road. Sui's words clearly gave the two of them hope of living. The two prisoners looked at each other, and one of them gritted his teeth and said, Boss, what do you want to know? Everything. What have you done since the end? Sui glanced at the two prisoners and asked emphatically, especially the one named Li, what's so weird about him? Boss, if we tell you, don't kill us. The other person was a little timid. He swallowed nervously and murmured, on that day, after we were sent back that day, the sky turned red. The two of us lived together, on the third floor. There was no food at home and we were starving. At this time, the man named Li came to us and said he could take us out to get food and water. We just followed him, going out to look for supplies every night, and sleeping upstairs and playing with women during the day. After that. Later, the man named Li found many people and robbed most of the people on this floor. The more the man spoke, the lower his head became. He seemed to know that he had done many things that were worse than a beast. The man surnamed Li just threatened everyone at first, and then that day, he killed someone with a knife. Then, he said he would kill everyone who disobeyed, and the elderly would be the first to suffer. He asked the men to go hunting with him in groups, and then come back to sleep with women after hunting. Many people felt that since the end of the world was already over, they might as well listen to him. As the man rambled on, Sui frowned and interrupted, "What's going on with the immortal named Li?" "I have no idea." A look of fear appeared on the man's face, and he murmured and shook his head, "I did see it, he was beheaded. There is a girl on the top of the building. Her boyfriend was there when the apocalypse broke out. It is said that she is a powerful character who learned Sanda. That guy chopped off Lao Li's head, and then Lao Li. Lao Li's head soon grew out and killed the man. That guy's woman was later played to death by Lao Li. After that, no one dared to resist Lao Li." Sui raised his eyebrows and said coldly, "You don't dare, and you don't want to, right?" The man trembled all over and remained silent. "This Lao Li is also a figure, and he uses both kindness and power. He kills chickens to scare monkeys and at the same time distributes the benefits to these men." Originally, people were panicking at the end of the world, but after Lao Li did this, most men were willing to follow Lao Li. If there are no accidents, Lao Li's shelter may easily develop and grow. Since Lao Li's talent is immortality, what is your talent? Sui asked indifferently. The man was stunned and confused. Talent? What is talent? Sui raised his eyebrows and looked the man up and down silently. This guy didn't look like he was lying, or is it necessary to hide his talent? Sui couldn't see through it, but the man was panicked by his gaze and couldn't help but explain quickly, "Boss, you don't think that we can't be killed like Lao Li, do you? We are human beings. We are mortals. We can die with one knife. Don't joke around, don't try. We just want to survive, and we are forced to do many things. Even if they want to kill us, the police should come and arrest us, and we should be tried and sentenced." The man explained in a panic, but Sui suddenly interrupted, "You haven't gone back to your house? Have you been following Brother Li?" "Huh. That's right, boss." The man was stunned for a moment, nodded in confusion and said, "Old Li won't let us disperse. He is afraid that others will betray him. He wants everyone to be under his nose. Even if they sleep, they must sleep where he can see." No wonder. Sui murmured that the man surnamed Li probably knew about the existence of talent. He was also afraid of a difficult opponent and ordered everyone not to return to his refuge. At the beginning of the end of the world, many people were taken by people named Li before they had time to activate their talents. These people without talent are really just ordinary people. Sui silently called the shelter's data panel in his heart and found that there was indeed no response. In this way, it is conservatively estimated that only the person named Li has the talent. The 3 people who are still alive should not have their talent activated. Sui thought in his mind that the only thing that gave him a headache now was the immortal named Li. Just then, the worst news came. The Charger and Lao Jing brought back the news. They carefully searched the upstairs and downstairs, but found no body named Li. This made Sui frown. Not finding a body meant that this guy had been resurrected. A potential enemy who is still alive is an extremely huge threat. After all, Sui's 5 warriors lasted less than an hour. Once they are recovered and Lin Yue does not know whether he is alive or dead, the combat effectiveness of Sui's shelter will drop to freezing point. Thinking of this, Sui felt a new sense of crisis in his heart. Keep these prisoners under guard and let the communications troops come back. The snipers will continue to search for the whereabouts of the person named Li. Sui frowned and quickly ordered, "Move all the supplies here downstairs." As long as they are edible and usable, take them all. Leave no one behind. Go and notify Lin Yue and ask her to refortify her home. She will use the entire building supplies. But the time we can give her is only 1 hour. Sui gave an order, and everyone except the snipers moved. The 3 prisoners were also being guarded and began to work hard, constantly carrying supplies up and down, and moved all the supplies that Brother Li and others had collected hard in the past few days downstairs. The 7 big men kept carrying supplies up and down, and the speed was not slow. But Sui still found it too slow. He kept pinching time in his mind and kept pacing in front of the group of women in the back room. Sui Zhen didn't have any evil intentions. He was just thinking about whether he could use this group of women to provide more security for the shelter. They must have been tortured badly by Brother Li, and they probably hate Brother Li more, right? Sui held his chin and murmured, if I can awaken the hatred in their hearts, they can also be my help. After all, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. As for what to do with these women, Sui hasn't decided yet. Now he just wants to increase the available power as much as possible and unite everything to resist Brother Li who can be resurrected. Just as Sui was thinking about how to communicate with these numb women, a new line of prompt information suddenly appeared in front of his eyes, making him stunned on the spot. Chapter 17 Destroy the Shelter. Inherit massive resources. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It has been detected that you have stayed in someone else's shelter for more than 30 minutes. The current shelter owner is not in the shelter and is in the unable to resist state. Excuse me, do you choose to occupy this shelter? Or destroy it? Capture and destroy. Sui was stunned. He had been in this room for half an hour unknowingly, triggering a potential Doomsday Game mechanism. He recalled carefully, and especially remembered that the thugs seemed to have mentioned that killing people could increase survival points. From this point of view, Doomsday Games not only bring terrible natural disasters, but also encourage humans to kill each other. Since even murder is encouraged, it is not surprising that there is a mechanism for destroying and occupying other people's shelters. According to the confessions of the prisoners, this house originally belonged to Brother Li. Later, he opened up the walls to create a larger floor area. Sui narrowed his eyes slightly. Then if I operate this option now and Brother Li's refuge is gone, will his talents still exist? The answer seemed self-evident. Sui quickly confirmed it without hesitation. Destroy the current shelter. Following Sui's confirmation, a red light instantly appeared in front of Sui. The women looked at this scene in panic and huddled into more corners. They are afraid of new torture and changes. Sui had no time to take care of the emotions of these poor women. He stared at the red light in front of him, watching it spread and spread, covering most of the room in a few breaths. When the red light dissipated, Sui received a new prompt message: congratulations. Destroyed a level 0 shelter and you were rewarded with 100 survival points. The current owner of the shelter will lose the shelter talent and all the mechanical rights of the Doomsday Game. You now have a 30% probability of inheriting the props of the current shelter, and the inheritance ratio is 20%. Since this is your first time destroying a shelter, the probability of inheritance is increased to 100%. The inheritance ratio is increased to 100%. Excuse me, have you confirmed the inheritance? If you do not respond to this message within 24 hours, you will be deemed to have given up the inheritance. A series of reminder messages made Sui overjoyed. Sure enough, by destroying the shelter, he will lose his resurrection talent. Ha, not bad, very good. Sui's excited smile could not be suppressed. He did not notice that the women in front of him looked at him with increasingly desperate eyes. In their opinion, this young man was quite normal at first, but suddenly he was laughing obscenely. Well, at least this guy isn't ugly, so it wouldn't be a waste to let him sleep with him. While the women were trying to comfort themselves in despair, Sui had already confirmed new information. Confirm inheritance. Sui raised his eyebrows. He would not miss any opportunity to strengthen himself. Although there may not be any good things in Brother Li's shelter, more is better, and Sui doesn't dislike it. Inheritance completed. The destroyed shelter currently contains 2,876 survival points, an E-class bun making machine and 3 bottles of F-class cooling fluid. You have perfectly inherited all the above items. The props and survival points have automatically entered your shelter reserves, and you can freely withdraw them after returning home. Ah, Datsui was stunned and his eyes widened. That man named Li is actually so rich. How come he has more than 2,000 points, Datsui murmured, and he suddenly realized that he seemed to have missed it just now. If there are points for killing people and destroying shelters, then it is impossible for thugs like Brotherly not to know about this. There are 32 residents in this building, which means there are at least 32 shelters. In addition to Brotherly and Suyi's shelters, Brotherly could theoretically obtain at least 3,000 points by destroying the other shelters in the past few days, including the points obtained from killing people outside. If the points are fully calculated, it is impossible for Brotherly to obtain less than 3,000 points. As for the E-Class bun-making machine and F-Class cooling fluid, Sui had seen these two things in the survival points mall provided by the shelter. The price is not expensive, but their appearance means that Brotherly already knows the role of points and has begun to use points initially. Then why did he leave so many points unused? Datsui blinked. He could only think that this might be because Brotherly knew that the shelter could be upgraded. He wants to save points to upgrade, or buy some more expensive points props. As a result, before he could accumulate enough points, he was intercepted by Sui. All the survival points he finally accumulated were used as a wedding dress for Sui. Such points will make me rich instantly. Sui sighed. The last point requirement for upgrading the shelter was met, and he could upgrade the shelter. Now that Brother Li's talent for immortality is gone, even if he is still alive, he is no longer a threat, at least from the outside. Without Lin Yue, Sui still had Li Yue by his side, 2 against 1, but still can't beat him. What's more, Sui had no intention of going out casually. As long as he lets Li Yue continue to improve the defense of the shelter, he can stay at home and become stronger every day. In this way, Sui didn't believe that Brother Li, who had no shelter, could do anything to him. Speed up. Sui picked up the intercom given by the signalman and said to the male soldiers who were carrying supplies in a deep voice, "We only have less than half an hour left, hurry up. Also, leave 2 people to set some traps at the door. Remember, the more the better. Don't be afraid of wasting supplies, give full play to your military qualities, and maximize the safety of the shelter." Sui plans to make good use of the soldiers in the last time, so that they can arrange enough countermeasures for the shelter before disappearing. Yes, Chief. A clear response came from the intercom. It's strange that the intercom system in the city police station has failed, but this group of soldiers who were summoned have an intact combat communication system. It seems that the technological restrictions targeted by the Doomsday Game are only the technological system originally owned by humans on Earth. The technological modules born from the shelter mechanism have not been interfered with or restricted. By the way, Chief, how to deal with these prisoners? The signalman asked for instructions. They seemed to know that they were about to leave and should not leave such a threatening person next to the leader. Leader, I request to kill this group of dangerous elements to ensure your safety to the greatest extent. The signalman held the walkie-talkie in his hand. He saw the fear on the faces of the 3 prisoners carrying supplies, but the signalman's eyes were still indifferent. He was waiting for Suyi's order. After a brief silence, Suyi's dull response came out of the walkie-talkie. Well, kill them. Yes, leader. The signalman picked up the pistol and pointed it at the captive's head. Bang! 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 3 gunshots were heard downstairs soon, meaning the disappearance of 3 lives. Suyi's heart did not fluctuate too much. After experiencing the bloody battle last night and today, his state of mind has changed dramatically. Old Zheng, don't blame me. Sui murmured in his heart, I also want to live, I must be a little cruel. Sui took a deep breath, calmed down his mood, and glanced at the women in front of him. This is a new problem, which gives Sui a headache. Kill them. But these women seem to be poor people tortured by Brother Li. They have never dealt with Sui, which makes Sui unable to do it. He can be ruthless to the enemy, but for the weak, there is still a faint conscience in his heart. Let's drive them away. Sui took a deep breath, pinched his brows, and made a decision in his heart. I cannot kill them, but they can't stay in this building. I want to clean up this building and ensure my own safety to the greatest extent. In the Doomsday, Sui doesn't trust anyone. He can be soft-hearted and not kill people, but he will never let the other party get too close to him. Sui's pistol has been replaced with bullets, and he is ready to threaten the women to put on their clothes and get out of the residential building. Just at this moment, suddenly a soft call came from behind Sui. Chief. Lin Yue. Sui was stunned, and turned around reflexively. He was surprised to see Lin Yue, who was covered in blood, leaning against the door frame, smiling weakly at him. Chief, you are still alive, it's great. Chapter 18 Lin Yue returns. Upgrade the shelter. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lin Yue's body was covered with scars, and her body had scorch marks left by the explosion. Half of her face was bloody, her clothes were in tatters, and the skin on her hands and arms had been burned away by the high temperature, exposing pink flesh and blood vessels. Lin Yue. Sui almost rushed to her side and gave her a hand. Lin Yue is still alive, which is a good thing, but her situation seems to be only a little better than dead. Lin Yue seemed to have completely lost her fighting ability. Sui could even touch the bullet holes that barely exploded on her body, which were already soaked in blood. Chief, I'm not in the way, and I still have a good tone. Lin Yue paused. Her voice was weak and she spoke very reluctantly. Those guys used grenades on me, but I also took the bait of the leader. I found that he doesn't seem to be afraid of bullets. He is not a human being and can be resurrected. So. Lin Yue raised his head and looked at Sui, grinning toothily, with blood on his mouth. I tied him up, and no matter what he grows, I will continue to chop it off. Head, limbs. I thought, as long as I kept holding on, I could wear him to death. Just now, that guy's head stopped growing. I seem to have successfully killed him. You should be safe now. Before Lin Yue could finish her last words, she fell softly into Sui's arms. Medic. Medic. Sui grabbed the walkie-talkie and roared desperately, come up and save people. Fast. Chief, here I come. The medical soldiers downstairs quickly put down their supplies and ran up. He took Lin Yue from Sui's arms, laid it flat on the ground, opened the first aid kit, and began rapid examination and treatment. Sui looked at Lin Yue, who was lying on the ground being treated, with a complicated expression. He still underestimated the loyalty of talents. Lin Yue discovered Brother Li's resurrection talent, but still didn't want to escape. She tried her best to hold him back. Although Lin Yue thought that he had killed Brother Li, it was no longer important. Brother Li has lost his talent and will definitely die if his head is chopped off by Lin Yue. Now Sui just wants to cure Lin Yue as soon as possible. Such a loyal and dedicated fighting talent means so much to Sanctuary. Chief, I can't save her. The medical soldier raised his head, apologetic on his face. She has 7 bullet holes in her body and was blasted by a grenade. The skin on her body was basically burned away by the high temperature. She is severely dehydrated, has severe blood loss, and her internal organs are also damaged. I have to perform an operation to save her, but I lack the surgical conditions and medical supplies. She must have been able to hold on until now because of her willpower. I predict she will die before dark. The medical soldier's return made Sui's expression darken. It was already afternoon, and there were only a few hours until dark. Even if he seemed to take Lin Yue to the nearest hospital to search for an operating table and medical supplies, the medical soldiers would not be able to last until that time, and they would soon disappear. We have to save her. I remember there are healing items in the survival supply store. Sui gritted his teeth. He signaled the medical soldiers to carry Lin Yue on their shoulders and quickly went home. After returning to the shelter, Lin Yue also noticed Lin Yue, who was seriously injured and unconscious. She exclaimed and rushed over to help him. Lin Yue wanted to ask Sui, but Sui had already rushed into the house. Open the survival point store. After Sui returned to the shelter, he immediately called the panel. A translucent piece of data information was listed in front of Sui. As expected, humans can only perform these operations by returning to their own shelter. Screen item categories and intelligently adjust purchase requirements. Treat seriously injured combat talent units. Sui has been staying at home these days. He has become familiar with the shelter panel and is proficient in many detailed operations. After a while, the store product information in front of Sui changed rapidly, and new information appeared. There are a dazzling array of therapeutic materials on it, most of which have miraculous effects. They are not things that human technology can produce, but they are all very expensive. The cheapest treatment supplies cost 500 survival points. Sui didn't hesitate too much. After a little selection, he went straight to buy it. Sui is very generous to his own people who work for him, even if the other person may be just a clone created by the shelter. Congratulations on successfully purchasing C-level medical consumables Gene Improvement Potion. Gene Improvement Potion, a C-level medical consumable that can be used to inject new gene sequences into the target, which can comprehensively treat most of the target's injuries, and has a certain probability of optimizing the target's gene sequence and improving the target's physical fitness. Purchase price, 1,000 survival points, price of 1,000 points. Looking around the world, it is estimated that not many people can afford so many points in one go. Sui didn't feel any pain, he bought it directly, took it in his hand, and injected it into Lin Yue. As the green liquid was pushed into Lin Yue's blood vessels by the needle, Lin Yue's originally pale face began to turn rosy after a while, and the wounds on his body were still healing slowly, visible to the naked eye. Although Lin Yue is still in a coma, according to the latest examination by the medical soldiers, Lin Yue's body is gradually recovering and he is expected to wake up on his own in a few hours. It would be great if we could save her. Sui breathed a sigh of relief. Lin Yue was so desperate, there was no reason for him to let it go. What's more, the shelter will need Lin Yue, a combat talent, to support it for a long time in the future. After settling Lin Yue, Sui was about to raise his head to give new orders to the soldiers, but when he raised his head, he saw that the medical soldier who had just stood in front of him had disappeared. Leah, where are the soldiers? They disappeared, boss. Leah squatted at the door and continued to repair the iron door. She answered without raising her head, didn't you say just now? They are a temporary rescue force and will disappear. Well, the time has indeed come. Sui looked down at his side. The walkie-talkie was not left, and all the equipment they brought disappeared. Even the traps that Sui asked them to set at the door were gone, all disappeared, and the whole world wiped out the traces of their presence. What a pity. Sui sighed, a little reluctant. 6 fully armed special forces, this is an extremely powerful security force. If they can stay, the safety factor of the shelter will be greatly increased. Maybe my shelter is too low, the talent reward only gives me temporary use rights. If the shelter is higher, I might get more combat talent rewards. Sui is now eager to upgrade the shelter, but for the sake of caution, he asked Leah to go upstairs and drive the women away. Of course, Sui would not be too conscienceless, and would leave clothes and some food for them, but these women must not stay on this floor. Sui must maintain the internal security of the entire building to ensure that there are no strangers. After Leah drove the women away, she stayed downstairs and began to transform the external entrance of the building according to Sui's instructions, and constantly set new traps in the corridor. The sky outside the window also turned dark unconsciously. The red light disappeared, replaced by a dark night sky, and only the bright moonlight could provide some light for humans at night. Sui opened the chat interface of the shelter, wanting to observe today's intelligence information, and also wanted to know whether the battle in this building during the day had an impact on the people nearby. As expected, as soon as Sui opened the chat channel, he saw many people discussing this matter. Really, that scene felt like watching a gangster movie. The gunshot stopped from last night to this afternoon. I live in the building opposite. I also saw someone climbing outside the building like Spider-Man, hiding and fighting guerrilla warfare everywhere. It's a pity that the phone can't be turned on, otherwise I really want to record a video for you. I watched it all day. They were so excited. Enjoyed. I don't know how many people died. I can smell the stench of the dead from such a distance. The building must be stinking. Hey, this is the end of the world. Humans have already started to kill each other, and they don't know how to unite with each other. No. Are you really watching this as a gunfight movie? Don't you have any other thoughts? I heard that a lot of women walked out of that building just now, and it seems that they were driven out. It seems to be the case. Damn. Go out quickly, taken one is one. Brother, wait for me. Leave the one with the biggest butt to me. I like this one, that the battle that broke out in Suyi's building obviously attracted the attention of some survivors in the city. However, the mainstream information in the entire chat channel is not all about discussing this matter. After all, it has been a few days since the Doomsday broke out, and the whole city is full of chaos and murders. The fight in Suyi's building is just a wave in the ocean, which can only attract the attention and discussion of nearby survivors. I can't see any new danger, but at least it's certain that someone should be eyeing this building. Sui closed the chat message box and murmured, but judging from the force I showed during the day, no one should be blind enough to come and cause trouble, right? As long as I get a few more days of reward time, I can survive the most difficult pre-apocalyptic situation. Sui took a deep breath, checked the curtains at home, and after making sure no one disturbed him, he began to call up the shelter panel. Check the shelter upgrade conditions. Congratulations, your 5 major upgrade prerequisites have all been met. You can currently upgrade the shelter to a -1 level experimental house, or you can continue to wait for more upgrade directions. Start upgrading. Sui started the operation without hesitation. He didn't have time to choose. Anyway, there were only 3 types of shelters that could be upgraded, and it didn't matter which one he upgraded. What he cared about was not the type of shelter, but whether the talent reward after the upgrade would be more generous. Chapter 19 Double Achievement Reward. Awakening of Bloodline. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Congratulations, the conditions are met, and the shelter begins to upgrade. As the information in front of Sui changed, waves of golden light emerged from the void and spread throughout the house. Everything in the room was shrouded in golden light, which was dazzling but not harmful to the eyes. It was just that Sui could not see the specific upgrade process of the shelter. After a few breaths, the golden light dissipated and everything returned to calm. Sui hurriedly looked around, but was somewhat disappointed to find that the shelter seemed to be the same as before. It was still the house he lived in, with no changes in area, items, or rooms. Congratulations. The shelter has been upgraded to a level 1 experimental house. You can obtain the additional area of the 4 adjacent spaces on the left, right, front, and back of the shelter. The area of the new shelter will be 4 to 5 times the size of the previous one. You can now freely transform the adjacent space by consuming supplies and survival points to give your shelter a facelift. The current shelter has opened the experimental technology tree. You can arrange suitable talents and improve the technology level of the shelter by consuming supplies and survival points. After a series of new information prompts, Sui suddenly realized, it turns out that this is just an upgrade. The specific transformation process of the shelter still needs me to do it myself. Sui found that there was an additional option of shelter transformation in the shelter module information in front of him. He reached out and clicked to open it, and suddenly his eyes were dazed. Sui felt that his soul was pulled out of his body, and his whole perspective was a bird's-eye view, observing the entire shelter from top to bottom. All walls and obstacles were phantomized, and there were green markings on the floor. These greens included Suyi's original house and the supplies of the neighbors on the left, right, front and back. The green range spread throughout the current floor, which represented that these all belonged to Suyi's shelter space. Sui also saw a series of construction options pop up in front of him. He can freely place new rooms, break through walls, adjust the position of load-bearing walls, or lay the color of the room and buy various decorations within these green areas. This has really become a construction game. Sui widened his eyes and felt that the world had gone completely crazy. Sui felt like he was playing the game The Sims, experiencing the detailed and extremely complex shelter construction module, but he is obviously a living human being, living on Earth. Why is his survival more and more like a game? Sui was shocked. He did not transform the shelter immediately, but quietly exited the construction interface. He needed to calm down and think about how to adjust the upgraded shelter. just when Sui just exited the shelter construction interface, a new round of information prompts suddenly surrounded Sui like a wave. Congratulations. The shelter upgrade has been completed, and your shelter talent has been improved. The effect of the shelter talent HomeBuddy's home has been improved. HomeBuddy's home, every time you stay in your shelter for 24 hours, you can randomly get a survival reward that is most needed at the moment. The lowest reward is sea level, except for special rewards. And the current talent time is reset to 12 noon. You have 1 hour of exemption from going out every day, and the exemption time does not affect the reward time settlement. After upgrading the shelter, the talent effect will continue to be upgraded. Congratulations! You are the first survivor in this city area to upgrade the shelter, and you have received a special reward, the Pioneer's Horn. Pioneer's Horn, sea-level special item, which can be used for any talent and adds the Pioneer feature effect. In this dangerous era, the most important quality of a brave pioneer is luck, and the owner of this feature is often very lucky. Special reward. Sui touched his chin, a little surprised. He didn't expect that he was the first upgraded shelter in the city, and he could get a reward similar to a game achievement. Just as Sui was checking how to use this reward, a new prompt appeared in front of him. Congratulations! You are the first survivor in this country to upgrade the shelter, and you have received a special award, Awakening of Bloodline. Awakening of Bloodline, A-level special item, which can summon special talents with national characteristics. The talents are growable and have great potential. There are also special rewards. Sui widened his eyes. In addition to being the first in the city area, there is also the first achievement in the country. A-level talent. Damn, I'm making a fortune. Sui's mouth was about to smile so hard that he couldn't close it. He got an A-level talent for free. This is probably the top talent leading all the shelters at this stage. But at the same time, Sui also realized a piece of bad news for the whole country. The Doomsday has been open for so many days, and I am the first one in the country to upgrade the shelter. How great is the survival pressure of others? Sui sighed. Most of the technological means of mankind are restricted, and only some low-end technology and simple weapons can be used, but this is not the Doomsday like the Resident Evil. Under the global high temperature, the air has become the enemy of people. After all, even if humans hold guns, they can't stop the spread of high temperature by shooting. On the contrary, the lack of many life-related technologies has caused humans to lose most of their effective means of resisting high temperatures. Sui's sigh did not last long. He knew that he was just an ordinary person and did not have such a big vision to worry about the life and death of all mankind. Sui just wanted to survive and live well. The special rewards of these two achievements were stored in the shelter data in the form of storage, and Sui could use them at any time just like when he opened his talent. Use, Awakening of Bloodline. As Sui used the reward, a golden light bloomed beside him and quickly condensed into a human figure. Not long after, a woman in a white cheongsam stood in front of Sui. Her face was exquisite and her skin was as white as jade. Her eyes were as clear as autumn water under her slender eyebrows. Sir. The woman bowed gently to Sui. She was like a gentle woman from a classical poem, beautiful and moving, with a faint smile on her lips that gave people a feeling of spring breeze. What's your name? Sui looked at the woman and was quite amazed. I didn't expect that I could summon a great beauty. Her appearance was simply breathtaking, and there was a stunning beauty that made people fall in love at first sight. Sir, my name is Jiang Xiaozi. The woman lowered her head and introduced herself softly. I am from Jiangnan. It is a great honor to meet you today. What a good name. Sui nodded. Jiang Xiaozi was tall and graceful. The white cheongsam perfectly set off her slender waist, which looked graceful. This woman had a noble temperament and had the graceful beauty of an oriental woman. She looked extraordinary, but what attracted Sui most about her was not her proud figure under the cheongsam, but a piece of ancient jade worn around her waist, with complex patterns carved on the jade surface. The jade was round, green all over, and emitted a faint glow that could be seen with the naked eye. Congratulations, you have obtained the A-level special talent Jiang Xiaozi. The information prompt appeared in front of Sui's eyes, and he opened Zhang Xiaozi's data panel. Su-yi took a look and his face suddenly changed. Chapter 20: The Extraordinary Characteristics of A-Level Special Talents. The military advisor is in. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Name: Zhang Xiaozi. Age: 28 years old. Type: National Games Wizard, Taiwan Novel Network. Talent level: A level. Physical strength: 60, neural response, 68, endurance, 50, spiritual will, 368, self-healing immunity, 211, talent characteristics, national luck blessing. She has the specific qualities of the Chinese nation. She lives in a country blessed by national luck, and the shelter where she is located will not be infringed by doomsday derivative disasters. Filial piety comes first. For every resident in the shelter who is over 40 years old, the shelter's dispatch exploration rewards, senior talent acquisition rate, and technology research and development speed will increase by 1%. The maximum bonus limit is 100%. Foresight: any matter in the shelter that requires thinking about strategies. Strategies, scientific research, traps, defense, etc. will not fail. Talents. Wide friends: she has many friends, and there is a certain probability of bringing new talents to the shelter every month. If no talents are recommended that month, the probability of recommending high-level talents next time will be increased. High resourcefulness: she can effectively pass on her knowledge and experience to others. Through communication and guidance with the residents of the shelter, she can significantly improve their skill level and thinking ability. People's desire: her power unites the residents of the shelter and makes them unite. In the shelter, her presence can greatly improve the morale and work efficiency of the residents, making the entire shelter run more smoothly. Value score: 3,568 points. Su-yi couldn't help but take a breath. He looked at Zhang Xiaozi's talent data repeatedly to make sure he was not dazzled. This is too exaggerated, Su-yi murmured. Zhang Xiaozi's data simply surpassed Lin Yue and Lin Yue by several blocks. The mental willpower of 368 and the self-healing immunity value of 211 points were not shocking to Su-yi. At most, they showed that Zhang Xiaozi's data panel was a type of talent that was not good at fighting. What surprised and shocked Su-yi the most was Zhang Xiaozi's talent and talent. The three characteristics and three talents, working together, make Zhang Xiaozi the most perfect internal affairs talent. The combined effect of her talents and characteristics can be called a group-buffed autopropelled machine. The most important thing is this wide network of friends. Do I need to worry about the lack of talents in the future? I will give you one for free every month, and there is a chance of finding high-level talents for free. Does this count as buy one, get n free? Su-yi smiled so hard that he could hardly close his mouth. In Zhang Xiaozi's entire panel, the only thing that made Su-yi feel a little regretful was the characteristic, filial piety comes first. Its effect requires residents over 40 years old in the territory to take effect. In an environment where doomsday disasters are rampant, it will be difficult for humans who are too old or too young to survive independently. To put it nicely, it is not suitable for survival. To put it harshly, it is a burden. The first round of doomsday disasters was already unfriendly to elderly humans. It is not known how difficult the subsequent doomsday disasters will be. The probability of survival of these older humans is very low. If a shelter has too many of these people, it will simultaneously drag down the shelter's resilience and development potential. But its effect is really delicious. There are three types of income, which can increase the income effect by up to 100%. Su-yi murmured. The awakening of the bloodline can summon talents with the characteristics of the country. This is indeed unique enough, and filial piety comes first. It seems that if I have time in the future, I will have to find a few old men and women to support me. Su-yi calculated and found that as long as the number of elderly people was controlled, the effect of this talent characteristic would have a great benefit on the refuge. Just when Su-yi was thinking about how to make full use of Zhang Xiaozi's characteristics and talents, suddenly a woman's slow moans came from the bed behind him. Well, water. It's Lin Yue. She opened her eyes and woke up from the coma due to serious injuries. The injuries on her body had almost recovered, but she was still very weak. The water is here, drink it slowly. Before Su-yi could react, Jiang Xiaozi was already squatting beside the bed with water, patiently and gently feeding Lin Yue water. You are. Lin Yue was a little confused and wary. She saw Sui standing behind Jiang Xiaozi and couldn't help but ask hoarsely, Chief, is she a new member? Sui nodded and emphasized, she is very important. Whatever happens at home in the future, you must listen to her, and I am no exception. Jiang Xiaozi's characteristics and effects have fully demonstrated that she is a strategist type, internal affairs talent with considerable wisdom. This girl is smart, so you must listen to her advice on everything, even if something goes wrong, it doesn't matter, because Sui felt that if even Jiang Xiaozi's wisdom could make mistakes, he would definitely not be able to figure out the problem. As a leader, you should have self-awareness in order to know how to make good use of others. Very important. Lin Yue chewed on the word, supported his weak body, and tried to stand up. Comrade, I'd better do it by myself. She didn't dare to let Jiang Xiaozi take care of herself, but Jiang Xiaozi pushed her back. You are injured, you need to have a good rest. Listen to her and have a good rest. Sui smiled and said, after a pause, he emphasized, you are also very important. Don't take your body lightly. I am also very important. Lin Yue was stunned, looked up at the man in the dark, and he smiled gently. Our family is now stronger than a few days ago, and it can be regarded as a little bit alive. Sui sat on the bed and said to Jiang Xiaozi, including you and me, there are now 4 people in the shelter, namely you, Li Yue and Lin Yue. Lin Yue is my first subordinate, a soldier, very loyal. Li Yue is an engineer, and has some experience in transformation and scientific research. In addition, I just checked more information related to talents, and I have given you some operating rights of the shelter. Sui paused, his expression was very serious. Xiaozi, can I call you that? The future shelter will rely on you to a large extent. I am not a smart person. I hope you can use your wisdom to protect the big home. Yes. Jiang Xiaozi nodded gently and responded softly, I will, sir. Lin Yue, who was standing by, looked at the two of them. When they finished their conversation, Lin Yue couldn't help but interrupt and asked, Captain, have all the enemies been eliminated? Sui nodded, yes. Captain, I seem to remember, you still have some soldiers, where are they? They have left. Sui smiled bitterly and said, our shelter, there are still 4 people now, but there may be more in the future. By the way, Xiaozi, I moved all the supplies upstairs back today. I haven't had time to count and organize them yet, so I'll leave it to you. Okay, sir. Jiang Xiaozi nodded, stood up and walked towards the pile of supplies. Her gait was light and elegant, swaying in her movements, which was pleasing to the eye. Lin Yue also saw that the room, which was not crowded at first, was already filled with all kinds of supplies, from toilet paper, toothbrushes, to food and drinks. Everything is available. The supplies filled the entire room, even outside the door. Hiss. Lin Yue stared with her beautiful eyes, very surprised. Chief, did you rob anyone? Yes, we robbed our enemies. Sui laughed. He was in a good mood now. The hidden dangers of foreign enemies have been solved, and there are more talents in the shelter. Everything is moving in a good direction. Even though the outside world is still a doomsday world baked by high temperatures, his shelter has taken shape and has a certain ability to resist disasters and provide protection. The commander is really amazing. Lin Yue praised sincerely. Sui shook his head, I'm not amazing. If you hadn't fought to the death to hold the enemy back, we would have been in danger. You are the main contributor to surviving the crisis this time. Commander, this is what I should do. Lin Yue lowered her head a little embarrassedly. The cheerful girl also had shy moments. It is my responsibility to protect you. Yeah. Sui smiled and nodded, and asked, by the way, the healing item I gave you seems to have some probabilistic effect, and it seems to strengthen you. How do you feel now? Feeling? Lin Yue shook her head, I don't know. I'm a little weak now and can't make an accurate judgment. Sui nodded, and opened Lin Yue's panel and took a look.